What's good, y'all? I'm talking about the GOAT Volcanion, a Pokemon that you really never see, especially in-game in Nuzlocke, which is what this hack is based around, in-game that is. This is not based for competitive play whatsoever. I have buffed and changed 600 plus moves, and you can check out the link to the Google Sheet where you can see all of those moves documented in several different categories for your viewing convenience, as well as all the Pokemon buffs and changes, and a bunch of other useful stuff like a speed tier guide, type change guide, type chart guide, held item buffs, new abilities, all types of stuff. You can find all of that in the Google Sheet in the description. So please give that a look if you have yet to do so. That's super important. With that being said, Volcanion, awesome buffs, pretty simple. Sometimes the legendary buffs are pretty simple because they're later game encounters anyways. So I mean, and they already had like higher stats, so stats aren't needed to be as reworked as much. I did make Volcanion bulkier, excuse me, just for the hack's power levels, and because I think it fits for him to be bulkier. He's a pretty big guy, so I gave him more HP because I try to base HP more on size and a little bit more speed F just so the stats are more even looking. So 95, 120, 95 bulk as a fire and water type with water absorb is pretty damn great. A lot of great resists, 4 times just to ice and fire and steel, and then you also resist bug, which is very valuable in this hack, and you resist fairy. And then, of course, without Water Absorb, you are neutral to water. Your other ability other than Water Absorb is now Sheer Force. Keep in mind, I balance every Pokemon to have 2 great abilities that it switches between using an infinite use ability capsule, and this is no exception. Sheer Force is for damage. Water Absorb is for utility. It's pretty simple. You'll look at the Google Sheets. You'll see the trainer. You'll be like, okay, do I need Water Absorb or do I need Sheer Force? Most of the time you're going to want Sheer Force, but there's a lot of occasions where you'll want that water absorbability for certain boss fights, and that's great. Not to mention a lot of your great moves are actually either not Sheer Force boosted at all, or they don't want to be Sheer Force boosted. At least, not that they don't want to be, but for example, Steam Eruption. That's now 110 base power, 100% accurate, so it used to be 95, and this has a 50% burn rate as opposed to 30%, so that's pretty damn strong. Obviously, in competitive, that'll be so fucking brainless and annoying, but in game, 50% burn, the Pokemon AI doesn't switch out, so you're kind of just banking on a 50% burn on the whatever's in front of you, which is not that debilitating because it's not a burn throughout the entirety of the game. It's just a burn on that specific Pokemon. For example, Battle Cry would have a very similar effect because Battle Cry drops attack and special attack by 2. So you could even argue Battle Cry is like better than Will-O-Wisp in some cases, unless the Pokemon has crit moves, in which case you're going to want to burn it. But my point is that the burn isn't as OP in game. It's pretty whatever. But it's still great. I mean, that's a really good thing that you can fish for, especially with Rehydrate, which is a reliable recovery move that water types get. That is literally just water type recover. So that's great for Volcanion as well with his great bulk. He can run a great Assault Vest set as well, or just a bulky utility set with Rehydrate, Parting Shot, stuff like that. But Steam Eruption really appreciates not being Sheer Force boosted because of that burn effect, or it's just a great Sheer Force boosted special water move. So is Bubble Burst, but without Sheer Force, Bubble Burst will drop the opponent's speed by 2. Hydro Pump is not Sheer Force boosted, so your strongest Sheer Force moves are Bubble Burst, and then later on Steam Eruption at 65, which is probably about 5-ish levels after you can catch him because he'll be in the Ultra Wormholes, and you should be about level 60 by the time you get there. So you'll have a little bit of a ways away before you get Steam Eruption. And then at level 70, the reason I kept it 70 base speed tier is purely just so it can use Scarf Eruption and Water Spout. I don't know why I didn't get those moves before. They're very fitting and very cool for Volcanion. Nothing too crazy. I mean, you can lead off with it for certain boss fights, but if you switch in and you're not getting max power Eruption or Water Spout unless you switch in on a water move, for example, or you switch in, take some damage, kill something with a different Scarf move, switch out. You could burn up, for example, Water Absorb burn up, because that's another advantage of Water Absorb is that burn up's guaranteed burn effect is not removed. So that's a 140 base power move that always burns. So you can, Scarf burn up, switch in, burn the opponent, switch out, switch back in later on a water type move, heal back to full HP, and then you have max power eruption or water spout right there. A little bit of a situational idea, but you get the idea. Honestly, the possibilities are very endless for this hack when it comes to like all types of different fun strategies you can use. You can even just slap on like Quick Claw eruption or water spout because Quick Claw is now a consumable item that always triggers, so that's pretty cool. But in general, those are 2 great moves with his 70 base speed. Helps him make more use of that speed stat, which is pretty decent with the Choice Scarf, especially. It's just pretty quick. You'll outspeed a lot of stuff with max investment. You can also easily switch around your EV spreads in this game. So for certain fights, max HP, max defense even, you can run a full bulky set because he has great bulk and a great typing. For defensive use, and then for the next fight you can run max special attack, max HP with the Assault Vest or whatever, and the next fight, whatever, you can just switch around. The possibilities are pretty endless, so that's awesome. Water Absorb, like I said, is great for that recovery and also just to have that immunity because immunities will always be useful. Burning Barrage is another great utility move that is like Will-O-Wisp but better. You can use that on Assault Vest set because it's an attacking move. It's 20 base power per hit, 3 hits, physical move that always burns. So that's just, only a few Pokemon get it, like Magmortar, what's some? I know a bunch of others get it, but I can't think of any. Fortress, stuff like that gets it. But that's a great move. Steam Eruption, like I said, is great. It's like literally zero drawbacks, just an incredible signature move. Simipour and Cast Storm also get that move, just because I thought it kind of fit pretty well and it's cool. Great coverage. Volcanion already had good coverage, but everything in his deck gets some pretty crazy coverage moves that you can switch around depending on the situation if you need them. But honestly, you're going to want to be careful with teaching coverage moves or just teaching TMs, because you're going to want to run a lot of utility moves a lot of the time on your Pokemon. In a hack like this, where it's pretty difficult, you're going to want utility moves, and you're going to want to keep your level up moves a lot of the time. And yeah, I did drop attack for more bulk, like I said earlier. I'm not saying physical Volcanion doesn't make sense, because it does, but I think you would appreciate the bulk better for this hex power levels. At least it would be better just to be bulkier. It's not like 90 attack is unusable. You could theoretically use it for certain fights if you got like an adamant nature or something, or just really good attack IVs, and you have a specific attack coverage move that you want to hit. For example, you don't have rock moves on the special side, so if you need to hit a Pokemon that's 4 times weak to rock or something for a certain fight, that like also, or just a Pokemon that's weak to rock that doesn't die to your special moves, or a Pokemon with like incredible special defense and bad Fizz Def, you could run some physical moves for that certain specific fight. That's the beautiful thing about doing all of this in game, is that you have all of the customizability at all times. That's kind of what the hack is balanced around. Like I said, 2 great abilities in every Pokemon, all types of fun stuff though. Volcanion, very simple. I mean, 130 special attack with sheer force is very strong, but nothing like that crazy for this hack standards. You can even see all the other sheer force Pokemon and all the other sheer force boosted moves. But yeah, Volcanion, it's very strong, very good Pokemon, great legendary as always. It'd be really cool to use one, because you never fucking see Volcanion in game, because I mean, it doesn't really exist in game. So yeah, that'd be super sick. I think I'm just gonna leave the video off there, honestly. I could talk about a few more things, but it's pretty simple. I mean, like priority haze is good for utility. You have regular priority moves in the form of Ignite and Bubble Shot, which are pretty good on Volcanion. Parting Shot, like I said, is great. Great coverage. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. A lot of them are sheer force boosted. There's a full guide on that Google Sheet. Again, I really encourage you to check that out if you haven't already. And even if you haven't checked it out, check it out again. It never hurts to have that bookmarked or saved, so you can check out all the Pokemon buffs and changes live instead of relying on the videos to understand the changes, because that's not always the best way to look at them, especially for older videos. A lot of them are outdated now. So yeah, all right, I'll be back for more. There's only one more Kalos video coming up, so appreciate the support, everyone. Peace.